Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 2 of performance testing training on load runner and JMeter tools. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss about software testing lifecycle. So, let us go recap of the last session, guys. So, in the last session, we discussed about software development lifecycle, right? So, what are the different phases or stages that are there in the software development lifecycle? Can anyone explain what are the different phases that we discussed, guys? Please feel free. Nobody is going to feel bad even if you don't know also. At least if you have tried, like that is great, right? So what are the different phases that we discussed? What is the first phase of the software development life cycle?
Roles in software company.
No, software development life cycle. I'm asking. Software development life cycle. First phase is the project initiation phase, right?
Oh, uh,
Okay. So one more important thing, guys. Don't write any notes. Okay, at the time of session. Okay, don't write anything at the time of session. So just concentrate on what I'm saying. That's it. Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to provide you the video, okay, recording session for you guys. So once the class is ended, right, then you can start going through the video again and then start preparing the notes while watching the video. Okay, that will be really helpful, believe me. So till now, like around
okay,
20
bro.
to 25 batches I covered. So in all the batches, I'm going to tell the same thing.
Okay, bro.
So what are the different phases or stages in the software development life cycle? First stage is project initiation stage. Second stage is requirement gathering. Third stage is design. Fourth stage is development. Fifth stage is testing. Sixth stage is release. And seventh one is maintenance. Right? So pre post deployment stage. Right? That we can call it as the maintenance stage. Right? So these are the different stages that are there in the software development lifecycle. So we discussed what exactly each and every stage is going to be, right? So we already discussed it. And also we have seen different methodologies, right? So first methodology that we have seen is waterfall methodology or waterfall model. Second one is V model, and the third one is the agile methodology, right? So out of these three methodologies, agile methodology is the important methodology, right? So the main drawback of waterfall model is, so client involvement is not going to be there, okay, till the end of the project, and testing team involvement is not going to be there till the development part, right? So in order to overcome that disadvantages from waterfall methodology, we are going for the V model, right? So in V model also, we have one disadvantage, like we overcome one disadvantage, that is testing team involvement, but whereas the client involvement is that disadvantage is still there in the V model, right? So in order to overcome that disadvantage also, we are moving to the agile methodology. In agile methodology, what we are going to do, we are going to divide the entire project into different sprints or iterations, right? So after dividing that entire project into different iterations, we are going to take take some duration for each and every iteration. Like the duration will be 2 to 8 weeks, right? So within that duration, we need to develop, we need to understand the requirements, we need to develop the application, we need to test the application, and finally we need to show some uh, output to the client, right? If the client is satisfied with that, then we are good, right? If the client is not satisfied, right, then we need to do some changes, right? So this is the flow that is going to be there in the agile methodology. Okay, so these are the things that we discussed in last session. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about software testing life cycle, right? So this is very important life cycle, guys, right? So in last session, we discussed about software development lifecycle that is related to development team, right? Whereas in today's session, we are going to discuss about STLC, software testing lifecycle. So this lifecycle is going to be used by the testing team, right? So we are going to test the application, right? That means we are from the testing team, right? So this testing team is also going to follow one step-by-step process in order to do the testing properly, right? So what is software testing lifecycle? We'll try to understand first. So software testing lifecycle. So whenever if lifecycle is there, what is the meaning of that? If lifecycle is there, then what is the meaning of that, guys? We are going to have different phases or stages, right? Different stages will be there or phases will be there, right? So here also the same thing. Software testing lifecycle is a sequence of specific activities conducted during the testing process, right? So it is nothing but a sequence of, that means one by one, step by step process of the testing team, what they are going to do, right? So why they are going to follow this step-by-step process means in order to ensure the software quality, okay, and also whether we are meeting the required goals or not, right? So let us say, for example, take the login functionality, right? In the login functionality, what will be there? Username, one text box, right? And password, one more text box, right? And one button called login, right? So here what will happen, whenever if you are entering the username and password and if you click login, then it should do the login, right? It should go to the home page of that particular user, right? This is our goal, right? Whether we are meeting this goal or not, right? That we are testing here by following some sequence of specific activities, right? So what are those specific activities that we will try to understand now, right? Is it clear what we are going to do in the software testing life cycle? Please feel free. Nobody is going to have any idea, right? So till now, so we all are here to learn something, right? So please feel free to ask any question. Okay, please stop me and ask me any question. No issues here. So guys, is it clear till now? I want answer from each and everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, Shamala and
Yes.
Anusha. Shamala and Anusha. Please, you need to unmute yourself and you need to answer me whenever if I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's go ahead with what are the different stages that we are having in the life cycle here, right? Software testing life cycle. Let's try to understand, right? So these are all the different stages that are there in the software testing life cycle, guys. The first stage is the requirement analysis stage, right? If you remember in yesterday's session, we discussed about SDLC, software development life cycle. In that particular life cycle also, the second stage is the requirement analysis stage, right? So my question here is, whatever the requirement analysis that we are going to do here in the software development life cycle, okay, can we take the same requirement analysis over here also for the software testing life cycle? Is both are same or different?
Same, bro.
It's not same, it will be different, right? In the software development life cycle, overall requirements will be there, okay? But if you want to get in depth of each and every requirement which is related to testing, then we need to take another requirement analysis here, okay? So this requirement analysis will be taken by the software testing team, okay? So if you remember, right, in the V model, right, we have the V model like this, right? So once the BRS document is prepared, that business analyst guy, he's going to give that BRS document to the development team as well as the testing team, right? So what will happen? This development team, they are going to take this BRS document and they are going to start analyzing this, right? Parallelly, this testing team also is going to take this BRS document and they are going to start analyzing that BRS document, right? So here, what they will do is they are going to look into this particular VRS document and they will start gathering the requirements according to their testing part, right? So here, let us say login functionality need to be tested, right? So in login functionality, what are the different things that we need to test, right? We need to ask the client, right? So for that, like this testing team project manager will be there, right? He's going to prepare one document again, right? He's going to sit along with the business analyst and along with the client, okay, to gather the requirements related to the testing part. Okay, in-depth requirements, right? Here overview will be there, but in-depth requirements is going to gather here in the requirement analysis stage, right? So again, this requirement analysis, this document, we are going to call it as the requirements document. Okay, here. So based on this requirements document, next stage will be there, right? This requirement document is going to be given as input to the next stage, that is the test planning stage, right? So here, what the testing team people will do is, like, along with the team lead, right? Senior team members are going to sit here and they are going to identify different test cases. Okay. So they are going to identify different test cases here, right? On a high level, different test cases they are going to identify. And also they are going to prepare one document here in this stage, right? So that document name is called test plan. Okay, they are going to prepare one document called test plan, right? So in that test plan document, what they are going to keep is, they are going to keep the entire testing procedure here, right? Entire testing plan over here, right? So starting from the introduction of the project, right? So why we need to go for the testing of this particular project? What are the different flows that we are going to test here, right? So what are the different functionalities? Launch page, login page, right? So checkout page, add to cart page, payment page. So like that, what are the different functionalities that we are going to test, right? And what are the different types of tests that we are going to execute? So what is the expected output, right? And also within how many days we are going to close this testing part, right? And also the application architecture. So like this, some n number of components or contents, we are going to keep it in this test plan document, right? So this test plan document is simply, I can say, like HLD, LLD documents developers are going to use in order to develop the application, right? In the same way, this test plan document is going to be used by the testing team, right? In order to start doing the testing process, right? So this test plan document will be prepared by the test lead along with the senior members, right? Sometimes senior members involvement will be there. Sometimes only the test lead is going to prepare the test plan document. Is it clear what exactly is the test plan document and what are the different things that we are going to keep in the test plan document, right? Basic idea. So the reason why I'm just giving you the overview here is, we are not going to follow this software testing lifecycle process. We have one more lifecycle called performance testing lifecycle. So we are doing the performance testing, right? So for that we have one more lifecycle, that is performance testing lifecycle. So that lifecycle we are going to use it in order to develop the testing process, in order to do the testing process, right? So at that time, I will show you the real-time documents. Okay. For now, just get some overview of this, right? So in our coming sessions, I'm going to show you real-time documents, right? So those real-time documents are going to be really helpful for you. So the same documents you can use once after getting the job out in your company, right? There is no issue here. So I will explain each and every part, like what are the different questions that we are going to ask the client in the requirement gathering stage, and how we are going to prepare the test plan documents based on the gathered requirements, right? And what are the different contents that we are going to keep inside the test plan. All those things I'll give you step-by-step process along with the proper document. Okay. so that you won't face any issue in future also, right? But for now, just remember that test planning part, in the test planning stage, we are going to create the test plan document wherein we are going to keep all the details, okay, all the end-to-end process of the testing part. We are going to keep it inside this test plan document, right? So once the test plan document is prepared, right? So this test plan document is given as input to the next stage, that is the test case development stage, wherein different test cases are going to be developed. Okay, so different test cases are going to be developed. Okay, so here high level in the test plan document, high level, okay, test cases are going to be kept, test cases names are going to be kept, right? Here complete, like step by step process, okay, step by step process, test cases will be there in the test case development stage, right? So all these, in all these three stages, okay, these three stages are related to the documentation only, okay, related to the documentation only. So that means in this requirement analysis stage, right? So whatever the requirement documents that we are going to keep, develop, right? So that we are going to keep it in Excel document. By using Excel, we are going to develop this, right? This test plan document, we are going to use the Word document. This is going to be the Word document, right? And again, this test case document is going to be the Excel document, right? In Excel sheet, we are going to keep all the test cases. In Excel sheet, we are going to keep all the requirements, right? Whereas in the Word document, we are going to develop the test plan, right? In all the three stages, only documentation only we are going to prepare, right? So these documents are going to be prepared by the manager as well as the leads, right? So once after the documentation is done successfully, right, then the junior level, okay, or the senior level people will come into the picture and they will start doing the test execution. But before going to do the test execution, there is one more stage called test environment setup. Okay, so till this particular part, till test case development, any questions, please feel free to ask. Any questions, guys? Till test cases, test case document. Okay. No. Cool. Yeah, Anusha.
No, sir.
Okay, cool. So now let's try to understand, okay, what is test environment setup, right? So before going to understand what exactly the test environment setup, we need to understand what exactly the environment is. Okay. So what is environment? So environment is nothing but it's a combination of, okay, hardware as well as software components. Okay, it is a combination of hardware as well as software components. Remember, guys. So hardware components are nothing but servers, right? Software components are nothing but whatever the operating systems, whatever the tools that we are using in order to do the testing, right? So those tools, as well as the operating systems or as well as the databases will come into the software components, right? So environment is nothing but combination of hardware as well as software components. In other words, I can call it as servers. Okay. So server is nothing but a computer, right? So whatever the laptop that you are using in order to attend this session, right? So you can use that laptop also as a server, right? But there are some other high-end computers are there, right? So generally we are not going to use our laptops as the server, right? The reason is server capacity should be more, right? So more number of people are going to access that particular server. So obviously server capacity should be more. So high-end computers, especially designed, okay, for this particular purpose, right, wherein we can install the software, right? So if you remember, right, in yesterday's session, in the software development lifecycle part, right? Developer is going to develop the build, right? So he's going to develop the code in the form of build, right? So once this build is developed, where we are going to place this build is nothing but this build is going to be deployed or installed. Okay, deployment is nothing but install, right? So this build is going to be deployed on the server. Okay, server is the place where we are going to have our application, right, in getting installed, right? In server itself we are going to install our application. So whoever is accessing the application, right, let us say if we are opening the flipkart.com on our browser, right? So what will happen? Indirectly we are sending one request to the server, right? Once after entering www.flipkart.com, if you press enter, right, what will happen on the back end is nothing but it will send one request to the server. Okay, and server is going to provide some response, right? So combination of these servers, right, combination of these servers as well as interconnection of these servers, okay, we are going to call it as environment. Okay, server is nothing but hardware as well as software components integration, right? And combination of these servers we are going to call it as environment. Is it clear till now what is environment? Right? So in simple way, one you can take one apartment, guys, right? You can take one apartment. In that each flat is going to be the server, right? Combination of all the flats, right? We are going to call it as an apartment, right? In the same way, so combination of all the servers, we are going to call it as the environment here, right? Under environment, you are going to have different servers, whether it may be the application servers or database servers or some other servers, right? But only the thing that you must remember is environment is nothing but combination of servers. That's it, right? Hope it is clear till now. This part is very, very important. That's why I'm taking much time over here, right? Once if you are able to understand this part, remaining steps are so simple. You will understand the remaining process so easily, right? Now I hope this environment part is clear till now, right? Now let's see what are the different environments that are going to be available, right? So if you see here, types of software development environments. Okay, so types of software environments I can call it as, right? What are the different types of software environments that are available? Are nothing but first one is the development environment, right? So here development environment is going to be used by the dev teams. Dev teams are nothing but development teams, remember. So they are not going to spell completely, they are going to spell it as dev teams. Dev team means development team, right? So this environment which is specifically used by the development teams, okay, only development teams are going to use that environment. They are going to have their separate servers wherein they are going to use that environment to develop new features and make changes for the request that we made from the testing team, right? And in this particular stage, client data is not going to be there. Remember, okay, there will not be any client data. So this development environment is going to be used by the development team. So where they are going to develop the new features of the application, right? Another environment that we have is the testing environment, right? So in the testing, this testing environment is going to be used by the QA engineers, quality assurance. QA means quality assurance engineers. Okay. So or simply we can call it as test engineers, right? So testing team is going to use this testing environment. Okay. What they will do, they will test different software versions over here as well as the features. Okay, different software, whatever the development done by the development team, right? Whatever the builds are the versions that they are going to develop. So those versions or builds are going to be tested in the testing environment, right? In the same way, there is one more environment called staging environment, right? So this staging environment is used again by the QA engineers, okay, as well as clients, okay. So whenever if you feel like after testing the application, right, if you feel like this feature is completely working and that feature we can show it to the client, right? Then that particular feature you can deploy in the staging environment. So here what will happen? This particular staging environment access will be there for the client also, right? He can also visit, he can also access this environment, and he can also see the application in this environment, right? So here in the staging environment, we are going to keep the functionally tested application, right? Functionally tested build in the staging environment, so that the client is also going to access and he can also see the data over here, right? That is nothing but the staging environment. Coming to the last one and the important one, production environment, right? So production environment is used by the clients. Okay, clients here is nothing but, so for the software company, Flipkart is the client, but for the Flipkart, who is the client? Who is the client for the Flipkart, guys? Whoever accessing the Flipkart application to purchase some products, right? They are clients for Flipkart, right? So here clients are nothing but general users, right? So whenever if the application is live, that means whenever if the application is deployed or released, right? So whatever the environment where the users are going to access, that environment we are going to call it as the production environment, right? So this is going to be hosted in the cloud infrastructure or data centers, right? What is cloud infrastructure and data centers? We are going to see in our coming sessions. But for now, just remember that production environment is the one which is going to be used by the normal users like us, whereas staging environment is the one which is going to be used by the testing team as well as the client. Testing environment is going to be the one which is going to be used by the testing team alone. Development environment is the one which is going to be used by the development team alone. Hope it is clear, all the environments. Any doubts in this?
Yes, bro.
So this concept is very, very important, guys, right? So now we'll try to understand in each and every environment how the URL is going to look like, right? So application URL, how the application URL is going to look like, we'll try to understand, right? So if it is a production environment, okay. So if it is a production environment, so if you are developing the Flipkart application, right? www.flipkart.com, right? This is the application URL, remember. So this is the application URL for production environment, okay? Whereas if it is a staging environment, right? If it is a staging environment, then the URL is going to look like this. Instead of www, staging.flipkart.com, right? If it is a testing environment, right? If it is a testing environment, so it is going to look like this. Test.flipkart.com, okay? Test.flipkart.com, right? If it is a development environment, dev environment, in simple way, dev environment, dev.flipkart.com, okay? So the URLs are going to change, right? So whatever the pages, right, whatever the different flows that are there, all will be same. Only the URL is going to change. Only this part of the URL is going to change. Remaining everything will be same. So these are the different environments as well as the different application URLs for each and every environment. Hope it is clear, right? Any doubts in this part? One important thing that we need to remember is we are not going to do the testing directly on the production environment, guys, right? So once the testing, once the development is done, we are going to test the application in the testing environment first. And sometimes, right? So if they ask to test the application in the staging environment, then we need to test it. Or else this staging environment, we are going to use it in order to test, in order to do the only user acceptance testing in order to do user acceptance testing, right? So we already discussed what is the user acceptance testing, right? In yesterday's session. So we are going to do the testing in front of the client, right? In front of the client and its team. So that kind of testing, we are going to do it in the staging environment, right? So once the user acceptance testing is done and everything is good, whatever the code that is there in the staging environment is going to be deployed in the production environment, right? So this is what is going to happen in real time, right? Hope it is clear till this part. So now it is clear for us, right? What is test environment setup here? So test environment setup is nothing but in order to do the testing, right? Whatever the hardware, software components that are required, okay, is going to be set up, is going to do the setup over here, right? So this setup, we are not going to do it, right? As a tester, we are not going to do it. Okay, some other teams will be there, right? So who is going to handle the environment setup part? They are going to do this environment setup, right? So, but only the thing that we are going to monitor here is, so we are going to simply provide them our requirement, okay, that we need these softwares in order to test the application, right? So they will install that and they are going to provide that to us, right? So separate teams are going to be there, infra teams. We are going to call it as infra teams. They are going to handle the infrastructure part, right? So once the test cases are developed and once the test environment setup is ready, right, then we'll go for the test execution. So we are going to do the test execution of the test cases, whatever developed in the test case development. So whatever the test cases that we identified here, right? So those test cases, we are going to do the execution here in the test environment, which is provided for us, right? And if any issues are there during the test execution, or if any bugs you identified during the test execution, as mentioned in the last session, we are going to raise the defects or raise the tickets in Jira, right? So, and we are going to assign the ticket to the respective developer. That developer, he's going to work on that and he's going to resolve that issue and he will get back to us, right? Once once the issue got resolved, again we need to run the test and we need to verify it. If everything goes well and if we didn't find any issues, right, then we can go for the last stage, that is the test cycle closure stage, wherein this test closure document, okay, is going to be prepared, right? So in the test closure document, we are going to keep the entire testing part, whatever that we have done, along with the results, right? So this test closure document is going to be submitted to the client for his approval. So client will go through all the document, right? And he's going to give his approval here. Once the client has given the approval, right, then it is going to move to the staging environment. The code, whatever that we tested, is going to be moved to the staging environment, wherein the UAT is going to happen. And again, if we get satisfied out there, it will be moved to the production environment. So this is the process of software testing lifecycle test. Any doubts in this? Please feel free to ask. The more doubts you ask, the more subject you are going to get it. So silence means I can understand like it is clear, right? So this is all about the software testing life cycle. Okay, the same thing in each and every stage. What are the different things that we are going to keep? It is there, right? Now let us try to understand the important points here, right? So types of software testing. So as discussed, guys, we have different types of software testing. One is the functional testing and the other one is non-functional testing, right? So what is functional testing? I'll show you with an example. Okay. So let me open the browser. So I'll show you with an example. Let me close all these things. We don't need these things. So what I'm doing right now, just try to understand. I'm just typing like www.flipkart.com, right? And See, what is functional testing? After typing the URL on the browser, if you click on enter, right? So what is functional testing here is nothing but you are just testing by applying the URL over here in the browser and verifying whether each and every image, okay, whether the page is loaded first, the page is loaded or not. And if the page is loaded, okay, each and every image as well as the scrolling part is happening properly or not, whether this search text box is there or not, right? So once after search, like after the search text box is available, whether you are able to click here and you are able to type some data or not, right? So all these things will come under the functional testing, right? So you have sign in option, right? So if you click on this sign in, okay, whether it is going to the sign in page or not, okay. So if you click on this cart, right, whether if you click on this login, right, so whether it is going to this page or not, right? If you click on this Flipkart icon, right, whether it is coming to the launch page or not. So verifying all these functionalities, we are going to call it as the functional testing, right? At the same time, right? So what is non-functional testing? Non-functional testing is nothing but if I am going to type the www.flipkart.com over here and if I press enter, right? How much time it is taking to load this particular page completely, right? Whether it is taking 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 15 seconds, right? So here, one important point that you need to understand, right? So answer this question, guys. So let us say you are opening one application, right? So you are typing like www.flipkart.com. It is opening in 5 seconds, right? Whereas you are opening some other application, let us say amazon.com, www.amazon.in, right? So that application you are opening and it is taking 25 seconds to launch the page, right? So which application performance is better in your perspective? In your perspective, which application is working fine?
Functional. Function.
Your voice is breaking, Harish. Which application performance is better?
Functional application.
No, not functional. I'm saying like two applications are there. One is Flipkart and the second one is Amazon. So whenever if you are launching the Flipkart page, it is taking 5 seconds, right? Whenever if you are launching the Amazon page, it is taking 25 seconds. So which application is working fine according to your perspective?
Flipkart.
Okay. What about Anusha, Shamala?
Flipkart, sir.
Reason?
Time taken to be very less.
Yes. Time taken to load the page is very less. So I can say
Yes,
like
sir.
Flipkart application performance
Flipkart application.
when compared to the
Better.
Amazon, right?
Yes.
So in the same way, okay, that type of testing, whatever that we are going to verify, okay, the timing part, right, response times part. So that type of testing we are going to call it as the non-functional testing. Okay. So let us try to understand what are the different types of functional tests that are there, right? So under functional testing, we are going to do all these types of tests. That is unit testing, integration testing, system testing, interface testing, regression testing, user acceptance testing. Whereas under non-functional testing, documentation testing, installation testing, okay, reliability testing, security testing, as well as performance testing, right? So whatever the performance testing that you are trying to learn, it's a part of non-functional testing. We are not going to test the application functionality, whereas we are going to test the non-functionality related things related to the application over here. So performance testing is a non-functional type of testing. Hope it is clear now, right? Now let us try to understand what exactly the unit testing is, integration testing is, and so we'll try to understand that. Based on that, like you'll get some clarity here. Okay. So let's quickly jump into the next slide. So first of all, what is unit testing? Okay. So unit testing is a software testing. It's a type of software testing where individual units or components of a software are tested. Okay. So that means let us assume there is one page called user registration page. Okay. So wherein the user is going to register his data. Okay. So, and there is one page called login page where the user is going to do the login once after doing the registration, right? So testing this registration part itself alone, right? We are going to call it as the unit testing. Testing the login part alone, we are going to call it as the unit testing. That means individual component or individual unit, we are going to test it. Okay, that type of testing, we are going to call it as the unit testing, right? Next one is the integration testing, right? So integration testing is nothing but, so generally what will happen once the user got registered into that application, he is going to do the login, right? So whatever the user who got registered here, right? With those credentials, if he is able to do the login here successfully, then that is the right process, right? That means we are integrating these two components. Okay, we are integrating these two components and we are testing it. So whoever the user who got registered here, the same user is going to do the login here, right? So in that case, how these functionalities are working, whether it is working fine or it is throwing error. That type of testing we are going to call it as the integration testing, right? See here, integration testing is a level of software testing where individual units or components are combined and tested as a group. Okay, are combined and tested as a group. So they are going to combine and they are going to test it as a group. So that type of testing we are going to call it as the integration testing. And the third one is the system testing, right? So system testing is nothing but, let us say we have some 10 functionalities here, right? In this Flipkart application that we are developing, right? So all the 10 functionalities, if we test it, right? If we test the complete Flipkart application, right? Or I can say it as complete or fully integrated software product, right? If you are going to test the complete or fully integrated software product, that type of testing we are going to call it as the system testing, right? The entire application, if we are going to test it, that testing we are going to call it as the system testing. Instead of individual components or instead of combination of the components, if we test the entire application, then we are going to call that type of testing as the system testing, right? Coming to the next one, interface testing. Okay, interface testing and integration testing both looks same, but there is some difference here, right? So in the integration testing, what we are doing, we are combining the different components here, right? That means registration is one component, login is one component. We are combining that, right? Whereas in the interface testing, what we are going to do is whether the communication, we are going to verify whether the communication between two different software systems is done correctly or not, right? So when two different softwares are integrated, right? Whether the communication is properly happening between those two softwares or not, we are going to test it, right? For example, right? So in the Flipkart application, right? So till the checkout page is going to be handled by the Flipkart. But when coming to the payment page, right, there will be some payment gate source. Okay. So payment gate source will be the separate thing, guys. PGS, gateway source, right? So this payment gateway source team, they are going to have some separate software, right? So where you can enter the credit cards or your Google Pay ID as well as the phone pay ID to buy the product, right? So this payment gateway is separate software, right? Whereas this Flipkart related application, this Flipkart related pages are separate software, right? So that means Flipkart related one is separate software and payment gateway process is separate software, right? So whether the communication between these two softwares is happening or not, okay? So that type of testing, okay, we are going to call it as the interface testing. If you are testing whether communication between these two software systems is happening successfully or not, that type of testing we are going to call it as the interface testing. Any doubts in these 4 types of testing? Let me know.
No, bro.
So I'm giving
No,
you,
sir.
I'm giving you with an example. So hope it is clear, right? All these types of testing. So now let us try to understand few other. Right? So next one is the regression testing. Okay. So next one is the regression testing. So regression testing is nothing but rerunning functional and non-functional tests to ensure the previously developed and tested software still performs after a change, right? So let us say user registration functionality is developed, right? As well as login functionality is developed already, right? So in user registration functionality or login functionality, in user registration functionality, no changes are there, right? But after the second sprint, client said that in the login page, right, or in the login functionality, okay, I need to add this forgot password or something, some new functionality need to be implied to this login functionality, right? So that means there are some changes in the login functionality, right? Whereas in the user registration functionality, nothing is there. So regression testing is nothing but, so here what happened in the login functionality, some change has happened, right? So because of that change, right, whether this functionality is working in the same way or it is giving any trouble for us, right? That we need to test it. So that type of testing we are going to call it as a regression testing. So in the regression testing, what we will do, whatever the functionalities that are developed, right, we are going to test all the functionalities again, right? And also we are going to verify, let us say if in the login functionality, if there is any modifications are there or any changes are there, okay, still after that modifications also, whether it is working in the same way or not, that we need to test it. That type of testing we are going to call it as the regression testing. And finally, user acceptance testing. This you know very well, right? We are going to test the application in front of the client. We discussed many times, right? So these are all the different types of functional testing that we are going to do. Hope it is clear, this regression testing. So these are all the different types of tests that we are going to do. Now, you need to answer this, guys, right? So we have one car, right? So what are the different functionalities, functional parts that we are going to test over here, and what are the different non-functionalities that we are going to test in a car? Can you give an example? What are the different functionalities that we are going to test in a car?
Ground level.
Ground level, okay, that is okay. Next, functionalities.
Height.
No, not height, not ground level. I am saying functionalities. Functionalities means whether tires are properly
Height stop.
tires are properly filled with gas or not, right? And whether steering is rotating properly or not. Whenever if you are applying the brakes, right? Whether the brakes are properly there or not. Okay. Whenever if you are applying the clutch, right? So the clutch is going completely back or not, right? Whether whenever if you are applying the gear, right? Your gearbox is working fine or not. Okay, those things will come under the functional parts of this car, right? Coming to the non-functional part,
Body.
not body,
Windows.
no. Let us say in this particular car, if one person is sitting, right, and he is going for a long drive, right? So within how much time he reached that particular place, and
Yeah.
also
Okay. Okay.
and also how much fuel, okay, got used because of this journey with one person, right? And the same thing, let us say instead of one person, if 4 persons are sitting in the car, right? So how much time it has taken to reach the same point, to reach the same long journey distance, right? And how much fuel consumption happened, right? And at the same time, instead of 4 people, right? So if 6 people or 8 people are sitting in the car, right? How much time it has taken to reach that particular like endpoint, long distance, right? And also how much fuel consumption happened, right? Those things will come under the non-functional. Hope this example is clear.
Yeah, clear.
Yes,
So,
clear, sir.
yeah, one more example. One more example is testing the login part, right? So here you have login page wherein you have the email and possibility of entering the email, entering the password, and clicking on the sign on button, right? So whether once after passing the correct credentials, if the application is doing the login, right? So then that is nothing but the functional testing. Once after giving the incorrect credentials, if the application is throwing some error like this, then that is also functional testing, right? Whereas non-functional testing here is nothing but after entering the username and password, if you click on login, then how much time it has taken to do that login process, that will come under the non-functional testing, right? And also, if anyone is placing some order, right? So then whether correct order number is there or not, and whatever the items that we selected, okay, is there in the same order page or not, okay, that will come under the functional testing. And how much time it has taken to place the order, whether within 1 to 2 seconds it has placed the order, or it took like 10 to 15 minutes to place the order, right? So that will come under the non-functional testing. Hope these examples are enough to get some clarity of what is functional testing and what is non-functional testing, right? So with this basic idea, we'll try to understand what are the different tools that are available in the market for functional testing as well as the non-functional testing. So for functional testing, guys, so both manual as well as automation testing will come under the functional testing, right? So for functional testing, there are different tools that are available in market. The mainly used tool is the Selenium, UFT, Unified Functional Testing, right? Appium. So like that, like many other functional testing tools are also available in the market. When coming to the non-functional testing, okay, especially for performance testing and security testing, okay, we have different tools. For performance testing, guys, Load Runner, Storm Runner, okay, Silk Performer, Neoload, IBM RPT, okay, WAPT, VSTS, Votes, Gatling, JMeter, right? So like that, many tools are also available in market, right? Out of all the tools that are available in market, Load Runner, JMeter, and nowadays Neoload, right? Neoload. These three are the most commonly used tools, guys, outside. So Load Runner is the benchmark tool, I guess, right? It's a standard tool which is going to be used by most of the companies. Load Runner, JMeter, and nowadays Neoload, they came with unique features and they are capturing this Load Runner market, right? So Load Runner is the first tool which was developed, right? And it's a commercial tool. Okay, commercial tool is nothing but we need to purchase the license. Okay, we need to purchase the license, and that license is also very costly, right? And who is owning this Load Runner tool is nothing but Microsoft. Micro Focus is the company who is owning this Load Runner, right? So it's a commercial tool. That means it's a paid tool. We need to purchase the license, and that license is also very costly. Okay, and the another tool is nothing but the JMeter tool. It's an open source tool. That means it's a free tool. Anyone can simply download and use it, right? And out of all the free tools that are available in the market, this JMeter is having very good features, guys. So almost all 80% of the features what Load Runner is having, right? So this JMeter is having all those features. So that is the reason why JMeter is so popular in among all the open source. And Load Runner is more popular among the paid tools. But now Neoload came into the picture. This neoload tool, it's same like a combination of load runner and JMeter, guys. So it's look like a combination of load runner and JMeter. Okay, it's also a commercial tool, but its cost is less when compared to its license cost is less when compared to the load runner. Right? So these are all the different tools that are available in the market, right? Performance testing. And for security testing, guys, Metasploit, Burpsuit, SQL Map, SonarQube, like that, like different security testing tools are also available, right? So we are not going to concentrate on the security testing, whereas we are not going to concentrate on the manual testing or automation testing as a part of our training. We will concentrate only on the performance testing part. Right? We'll concentrate only on the performance testing. Hope it is clear for everyone. Now coming to the last slide for today, right? So any deviation from the requirement or any issue in the requirement in functional testing, we are going to call it as a defect or bug. Okay. So let us say the login functionality, right? So you have the username, okay, as well as the password along with the login button, right? Once after entering the requirement here is once after entering the username as well as the password, if we click on login, right, it should go to the respective user homepage. That is what the requirement, right? If any deviation in the requirement is nothing but once after entering the username and password, if you are clicking on the login, but still if it is not going to the homepage of that particular user, that means there is some deviation, right? That deviation in functional testing, we are going to call it as the defect or bug. Whereas the same kind of deviation in functional testing, like let us say non-functional testing, right? So once after entering the username and password, right? If you are clicking on the login part, right? If it is taking much time to do the login, right? That type of issue, okay, that type of deviation, we are going to call it in performance testing as bottleneck. Okay, that type of deviation in performance testing, we are going to call it as bottleneck, right? Whereas the same thing in security testing, we are going to call it as vulnerabilities. Okay, so you need to remember again only this part. So again, remembering all those things is good, but don't get confused. Our main target is this. So why we are doing the performance testing means we are going to test the application performance, and also we are going to test if any bottlenecks are there. Bottlenecks are nothing but any deviations from the requirements are there, right? If any deviations are there, then how we are going to resolve the deviation, how we are going to solve that one, that also we need to tell them, right? So this is the overview of what is software testing life cycle and different stages of the testing life cycle and different types of testing that are available and some basic tools that are available as a part of testing. Right? So let's stop it here for today. Right? So let's stop it here for today, and we'll start what exactly the performance testing is. Right? Why we need to go for the performance testing. Right? So some basics of performance testing from tomorrow on. Right? So that's all for today, guys. Thanks for attending this session. We'll meet again tomorrow.